Hello,
check.
everyone.
Oi.
How are you?
Spicy.
Happy Monday. How is everyone?
Yeah.
It wasn't as bad as last week, but still pretty bad.
What the reaction? What is it usually like?
Well, normally you have to get them to do it twice, so
All right.
try again.
Woo. Yeah.
That was actually worse.
Yeah, there you go. It's fine. It's fine.
But yeah, luckily we have a speaker that will get your spirits up today because we have Ben Spence from Fuzzbrain Studios. Please
That's
give him a
me.
warm welcome.
Oh, see, that was better. That was good. You know, I'm not off it. Yeah,
see, that was good.
Yeah,
See, you've already worked your charm. So my question for you first is introduce yourself. Who are you?
I mean, that. Yeah, no, so, I'm Ben. I'm from Walthamstow. Is anyone here from East London? Yes. Chat to me after on it. Come on. Yeah, no, so, just some geezer, really. But, no, I got a studio, have a festival, I make music, I play shows, I fill in the gaps, anything that needs doing, I do. Today, I ship speakers, you know what I mean? So, yeah, very much like, what they call it, a portfolio career. It's like one of them ones. So, master of none, Renaissance man, you know what I mean? But, yeah, a bit of everything, you know what I mean?
So, for people who don't know, what is Fuzzbrain Studios, and also what is the festival that you run, Hoodstock?
Okay, yeah, so the studio kind of, it's recently grown. So before, for years, it was just like a live room and a control room in like various places across East, and then sadly outside of the city for a little bit due to traumatic circumstances. But yeah, basically it's like, you know how they say with like when you're trying to like start a business, you need to find a problem and then solve the problem. This was basically that, you know, like I never, when I was like 15, 16, I wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm gonna do this thing and I'm gonna like run a studio. It was kind of like, oh, I wanna make music. I'm so scared of like going to some producer and them hearing my music, my terrible music, and being like, what is this shit? So I was like, okay, let me like set up my own thing. And then obviously being from where I'm from, there's so many people making crazy music. Well, I know access to that. So it was kind of like, let me build up this equipment. I was like buying and selling loads of stuff and like building up more and more stuff. And then before you know it, you kind of have like a whole studio set up. So I was doing that, and then I was kind of renting it out to like other artists that I knew. And then, you know, I'm still doing that, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, it's basically like a DIY studio to the highest level it could possibly be. Like me really trying to push the ceiling of like how good DIY it can be. And yeah, it's kind of become, I guess it's become a bit of like a hub in a way. Like loads of collaborations have been born out of it, bands have been formed, so many records have been made. Like, yeah, it's nice. It's been real good. And then, yeah, Hoodstock, my festival. Again, same thing. It's like, you know, I have the studio. It's been full of artists now for how long? And then, yeah, those traumatic circumstances, here we go, here's the sexy bit, right? So imagine, I built up this studio fucking, I don't know, what, 10 years. So I started when I was like 15. I was like buying and selling all this equipment. You kind of get to a point where you're like, oh, hey, this is all right, I can do this, you know what I mean? And then, obviously, COVID, and then that kind of like flatline business pretty much. But then I got a grant, and I was like, yes, he's up. And I was like, all right, let's be smart here, let's think about this. If I don't know how long this is gonna last for, so what I'll do is lean into my main skill, which is like buying and selling stuff, right? Get everything serviced, got a bunch of stuff, foolproof plan, yeah. Fucking studio burns down, innit? So the whole thing, gone, everything gone. So then I was like, oh shit, what do I do? And my family had like moved out the neighborhood then, like they live in Somerset now, so yeah, I ended up out there, which is a big cultural shift, as you can imagine. So I was out there for like 6 months. But obviously, like, I'm massively focused on coming back home, innit? Because, like, to be honest, you know, you got this community hub in the East. Somerset, like, fucking all the population of Somerset is probably half of what, like, Walthamstow is, you know what I mean? So, just, it wasn't hitting the same, I'm gonna be real. So, yeah, I was, like, so focused on coming back. And then when I come back, I was like, well, the only reason I was able to continue was off the back of all this community fundraising. Like, people basically saved my ass. Like, it was incredible. So I was like, how do I kind of repay that? And, you know, I was like, it's always been like a kind of pipe dream of mine. And my boy Dave, she does the festival with me, like, we both grew up together, of like having this big kind of free show where we played to like all our friends. And we're like, oh, hey, it's now the time. Now was the time. Yeah, so we did that. So that was 2021. Yeah, it was pretty fun, can't lie. So just massive free show, no money involved. All the artists were like, yeah, Like, we just want to play, because especially at that time, no one had played for like, coming up to, I guess, what, 2 years? So yeah, everyone was like raring to go, went ahead with it was great, no money made, like just literally like for the sake of it. And then we were thinking, okay, we've done this now, we've done it once, like where do you go from here? And then it was the thing of like, we kind of fell into this position where we have this platform now that's like out of nowhere. It's kind of weird. And then I remember we had this conversation one time about like, kind of what do we do with it? Like, how do we kind of make sense of that? What do we actually, what's the why, if that makes sense? And I was like, well, I don't want to just be like another festival, innit? Like, there's so many festivals that we don't need another one. So what's going to be the point of difference? So we kind of came up with this model where all the revenue that like goes into the festival, that's made from the festival, goes into a fund, which is basically like for our 15-year-old souls when we were like starting out. So like 15 to 25-year-olds, you can't access studio time. They can just hit me up. Like, we'll announce the sessions once a month. They get like free studio time. So that could be, I don't know, say if you're like, it's open to anyone, innit? So it's like, if you're, oh, I've got these labels on me, but I can't master this. I need a master to show them. And it's like, sir, we can do that. You could be like, yo, I've never played drums before. I want to play drums. Like, I just want to try something. You can do that. And you don't need to bring anything at all. So it's like trying to be as useful and as malleable to like my community as possible, and also like invite a whole different kind of wave of people into like the community that's around the studio. So yeah, I think so far we've worked with like 80 artists or something. So quite a lot. So yeah, and it's going to be our, festival number 4 this year, TBC, but it will happen at some point. So, yeah, long. There's a lot of stuff in it.
Yeah, well, I actually have a lot to ask you about on the back of that. So, speaking of festivals, first of all, we actually met before at Uplands Festival last year, and you were on a panel about breaking down class barriers in the music industry. And before I kind of get on to class barriers and that kind of topic, I want to ask, like, back to when you were younger, like, how did you decide as a young person that you wanted to get into music?
To be real, I think I was there with my boy, and I was, it's hard to believe I was not always this incredibly charismatic and good looking, you know what I mean? And I was thinking, wait, how can I leverage, how can I make myself a little more appealing? I think I was like, music seems kind of cool, you know, music's kind of cool. And then accidentally I fell in love with it, you know what I mean? So it was kind of like, I was, it's the only thing I've been interested in since then. So, yeah, it was, I think that was a big motivator. And I think it was like me, you know, going on where I grew up is like, I mean, I love it. Like, I can't exaggerate how much I love Walthamstow, East London, Leighton, you know, all these places and the people that come from them. But it's nuts. Like, there's a lot of mad stuff that happens. And like, I didn't realize how mad it was until I kind of stepped out of it. But I always knew that a lot of those pathways weren't really like for me, if that makes sense. And I didn't, you know, not trying to talk down on anyone who does make them decisions, because everyone has their reasons, but it's just not, it's not where I wanted to go. It's not where I wanted to put my energy. And I kind of thought, wow, this is something that's appealing to me. It's just so cool. Like, it's just cool. Like, I want to do that. Like, how do I do that? And then this realization of like, I actually did my work experience when I was 15 in Rough Trade East. I went in there, I was all scared. I was like, oh, can I do work experience here? And they were like, yeah, cool. And I was exposed to so much music, but more importantly, I was exposed to people that made music. Before that, I didn't really know anyone. Like, I knew people from around the neighborhood, but people who had like toured. Like, they would ask me like, yo, have you got any shows coming up? I just remember laughing and be like, what do you mean? Like, me perform, like, what are you talking about? And it's like a thing of like, they would be like touring. I'm like, oh, right. And then you'd be like, just around them and working with them, they're just normal. And you're like, oh, maybe. Like, the ceiling just constantly kind of got raised. So there'll be interactions like that where you're like, oh, maybe that could be me. Like, why can't I do that? And then you kind of like work around some stuff, make that happen. And then, it was kind of like a big process. I guess the last kind of like 12, 13 years have just been that over and over again. Like, you do something and you find it kind of cool. And then I'm kind of like, wow, like, what's the thing between me doing that? Or like my friends doing that? And then obviously my friends have got wider into like a whole kind of community of people, and then the ceiling of that is constantly raised, to the point where we have a couple rooms and a fucking festival. So it's like,
So you mentioned your kind of low cost studio sessions that you offer, and you
Or
also
free.
yeah, all free, yeah.
it's
And you
completely
also mentioned like leaving London temporarily, and I kind of want to bring those two things together to ask you whether you think that there are too many like financial barriers to young people in music.
No doubt, yeah, no doubt.
How do you think that we can like come together to kind of fix that?
I spend a lot of time thinking about this from like different perspectives. So obviously you have the studio perspective, you have the artist perspective, like if I'm selling merchandise, promoter, if I'm selling tickets, how do we level this out? Because the thing is, it's all well and good like me selling out a venue, but like for me as well, for when a lot of the stuff I'm creating, to be honest, it's not gonna resonate and it's not gonna be translated well if there aren't people that understand the cultural connotations of it. You see what I'm saying? So I would be such an idiot if I didn't make it accessible to them people. So honestly, this time I try and keep it like front of my brain. I think, to be honest, like societally, we need to like take the pressure point away from the young people. And I think that's obviously easier said than done in a lot of ways. But what I mean by that is like the burden of cost and that pressure to convert that cost into delivering something needs to be removed from young people. Because, a lot of families like where I grew up, there's not any, like disposable income isn't a thing, innit? And the idea of like them saying, you want to like little whoever wants to learn to play guitar, don't worry, we'll just pay for lessons. That's never going to happen. That's just not going to happen. But like, then, think of what we've lost. Like maybe that person started learning guitar, but then they translate that into something else, and like there's a whole pathway that immediately shut down. And that's not their parents' fault, is it? Do you know what I mean? It's just like there's no access points to kind of this pathway. There are some, but they're like very slim. That kind of needs to be opened up again. And almost like another issue I think is quite a big deal, and like kind of off the back of a conversation I had earlier today, I think is going directly to young people as well. And rather than kind of letting them kind of figure it out for themselves and like, okay, this is a place that I want to be, rather than like their school or their college or their parents being like, oh yeah, this is something, because like, to be real, it's just not that attractive, innit? If like, you know what I mean? It just kind of loses a bit of bite if your parents are like, oh yeah, this is this cool thing you could be doing. You're like, what? So yeah, I think it's tough. I mean, some of the stuff that I've done with like Fuzzbrain and like Hoodstock, so obviously trying to make the sessions as widely usable as possible and at no cost, and like, make sure that they're, rather than just having like a lump of cash that we drop at once, we kind of split up into 12 monthly chunks. So there is the opportunity for a young person to come in, like I said, they never played an instrument before, do like however many sessions throughout the year, kind of build up something, or someone's producing. It gives them the opportunity to overlap with different artists in the studio. Just basically trying to open up all these possibilities like that. So that's a big deal, like idea of repetition, being repeatedly exposed to music and you as a musician. And then also things like promoters need to take on way more initiative. I've been trying to hammer every promoter that I know to take on this model that we use, which is just like a pay it forward ticket model. It's mad simple. It's like, and everyone gets their money. Like I do not understand why this isn't more widely adopted, but if you're not familiar with it, it's like basically if you have extra money, you buy an extra ticket. And then the way I do it is that like they just hit me up saying, yo, Ben, I've got like 2 extra tickets. And then I add it to a list. And then the week of the show, I go, yo, who's trying to come to the show? Like, who needs a ticket? And trust me, people always hit you up. So it's like that, as a promoter, I don't lose any money. As an artist, they get a fuller audience. As a fan buying more tickets, you're deepening the investment. Obviously the weakest argument of the three, but it's that thing of like, you can buy when you're approaching a show with that in mind, that you've bought an extra ticket, you've invested something in creating a room that the artist wants to see in front of them, and you're already inviting a kind of more responsive kind of atmosphere, which is like, in my experience, like very like effective. So
yeah, and I think that's a really like inspirational model, and I definitely like think that it's the way forward for the industry. But also I want to kind of talk about what you've touched upon, which is community and collaboration. And do you think that we have enough of a sense of community in the music industry at the moment, or do you think it's quite individualistic?
I think it definitely in the industry side of things. I mean, it's almost like, to be honest, fundamentally, because every kind of industry person that I know, purely through being an industry person and not an artist, just to be clear, it's because they want something from you, innit? And what they want from you isn't nice. You know what I mean? So it's sticky. I think that's a very hard thing to navigate. I think it's a very hard thing to navigate because fundamentally obviously it's a profit-driven industry. It's a profit-driven model, and they need to get their cut. And what I don't like is how kind of hidden away some of these little things are in the way that they do so sometimes. So I think that's a bit strange. But believe me, you will make like a lot of fast friends who might disappear quite quickly. Like the more you kind of move around in music. And I think the one thing that keeps me grounded is obviously like my family constantly taking a piss out of me, but also having like people around as well to also take the piss out of me. But having that community, like there's people, I mean, you know, when I go to the studio this week, I'm gonna do Lord knows how many sessions, but too many. But most of them, I'll probably say 50% of them will be people I've known for over 5 years. Do you know what I mean? As in people I've known from the ends for over 5 years. So it's like that thing of like building those relationships from like that kind of horizontal, they call it horizontal networking, innit? And that kind of, that investment of not necessarily money, but time and resources, when that's what you're rich in, you're not rich in money. That's how you kind of build those more meaningful relationships than someone who's gonna come through when you're doing, I don't know, 100,000 monthly listeners on Spotify and offering you a check. Because the second those numbers drop, believe me, that person ain't gonna be on your line anymore. And I know like my numbers ain't near that, and I've got loads of people who I know have my backs, you know what I mean? And obviously, you know, I've had a couple quite mad circumstances that like have kind of showed me that how much people kind of support the community and stuff. So that's obviously bizarrely reassuring. But I think honestly, the community thing I don't think it can be done kind of like from a position of power working in business, because inherently I don't think that works. But I think, I mean, everyone here is obviously like at this uni together, you know. It's like this is how you build that thing, and this is how you get together that team and those people that probably will be with you for a longer time. And I think that's really important.
And I imagine that, like, when you work with a lot of young people in music, it's not necessarily sort of where they are, but it's about seeing their potential.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And is there anyone that you've kind of mentored or that you want to shout out, maybe that you've worked with for a very long time?
Nah, not joking. Nah, nah. There's loads. Like, yeah. I mean, to be honest, I don't even know if I've like mentored anyone, but like, because I know it's like such a corny thing to say, yeah, but like when I do these sessions, honestly, like they're in my studio, so like these people are using fundamentally what is my equipment, right? But their workflows are so different. Every time, and it's like I get so much from that because they're approaching things from like all these different perspectives. I'm like, oh damn, like, that's way smarter than I would have done it. So like so I get a lot from it. So it's like I feel bad even saying that I've mentored them, but there are people around who like are incredible. Like there's this guy Michael, who's in this band called Restless Taxis, who hit me up when he was like 15, and he sent me this message, and he was like, oh hi, Ben Spence. Already weird, like it was like a DM, like calling me by my full name is kind of crazy. Like, hi Ben Spence, like I made this music, no one likes it, but I think you're gonna like it. I was like, oh fuck, like, you know what I mean? I was thinking, there's no way this is gonna be good, isn't it? I listened to it. It was fucking good, man. It's cool. So I've been he was in the studio the other day, and he's kind of been coming consistently for like, he's only like 17 now, so like 18 months, 2 years. But he's I think he's gonna be an incredible musician in the next, like, I mean he already is, but like I'm excited to see what he decides to do culturally in the next kind of like 3, 4, 5 years. My boys in Antinet kind of pioneering this weird like cyber drill sound. That's crazy. Trying to think who else. I mean, honestly, there's so many. I could like this is a dangerous rabbit hole to go down because I'll just talk about all these artists that I love. But yeah, there's a wealth of talent in this city. Like we all know that. But I think honestly, one thing I do think is an under discussed point and a point, a kind of sticking point between how I approach things and something I think gets a little bit lost with some industry stuff is that also thinking in terms of culture. So rather than in terms of just music. So like the artists I get excited about are artists that are doing things that I think are like exciting culturally. Do you know what I mean? Might not necessarily be music wise, like their music might not sound like the finished thing. You could show me a finished master that sounds great. But if I might just be like, all right, it's cool, but like why? But like those artists who are like kind of pushing something like a new sound, or they're combining things or trying to take stuff they've learned from here and apply it here. Like Restless Tighties, they put on like a rave in a not totally legal situation, but it was crazy. And that's a band putting on a rave. Like, and I'm like, and you're like 16, like why? Like that's so weird and it's so cool. That's just cool. So yeah, like all the artists I love might not necessarily be like, the sound might not be 100% finished, sometimes it is, but the kind of cultural motivations, that the idea of pushing something forward and pushing something new is like kind of ever present across that stuff, you know?
Yeah, and do you have any other kind of top tips for artists who are just looking to put their music out there?
Just put it out there. I think that's really it. Like really think about why. Like what is the goal? Like what are you trying to achieve? Is it like, you know, because if it's just like, get a bag, it's not the way. It's not the way, man. Just, yeah, there's way worse things to do. But yeah, I think like, you really, really think about why you're doing it and what you want to see. As in what you want to see, kind of like what are you trying to resonate with, what are you trying to build upon in wider society and people who consume the music. And really lean on, like, for years I didn't, but I wish I did more. But like really lean on those people around you and those resources and invest your time and your art in those people around you. So, you know, say if you got a song but you don't know a mixing or mastering engineer and like one of your people has started doing it, that's the person you should get to mix and master. You could pay Abbey Road, they got deals on doing £300-400 or whatever, but like, would you not rather just give like someone around you £50 and a shot to do it? Because, you know, you do that 5-6 times, they're getting better. And personally, I mean, this might not be true for everyone, but I love seeing how an artist has evolved. So don't worry about having like this finished thing, you know. Worry about like, is what you're making kind of true to what you're trying to capture right now? Is it representative of who you are, where you're from, where you're trying to be? Because if it is, then it's good to go. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't need to hit all these weird kind of points. But in practical terms, I mean, you could look into like PR campaigns and all of that, but that's all very expensive and it's not guaranteed results. Working with people around you is guaranteed to like deepen those ties and like give you a much better platform for anything you're going forward with, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of want to talk to you a bit about live music, since we kind of touched upon Hoodstock, and I think we were talking a bit about this in the green room, the relationship between promoters and artists.
Yeah.
And do you think that being an artist yourself has maybe influenced the way that you book shows?
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And how?
I mean, honestly, all my work is like, you could just get rid of all the names, just pick one, and the whole thing just fits under one. So like Micromu, Fosbury, and Hoodstock, all that shit is like basically just a means to an end, and the end is me not fucking losing it. So, but yeah, it's basically 100% like completely influenced it, because I wouldn't put on shows if like I felt like all my tastes and needs were being met by other promoters, you know? And that's not me shitting on anyone's doorstep. I just think that everyone has their individual taste. And obviously the position I'm in, being in the studio and stuff, I'm exposed to a lot of crazy music. So yeah, obviously platforming artists that I love, obviously you have to like, it's always a push and pull, particularly with Hoodstock, because the revenue that we make from the festival is the fund. So the more money we make, the more free sessions there is for everyone, which is kind of like, obviously it's it's just a fundamental truth, but it's such a strange relationship, you know, because it's like I have to be so ruthless and so like capital, like revenue driven, like before the festival, just to put ourselves in the best position to basically undermine all those systems after. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of mad. So that's always a weird one. So stuff like, for example, what I mean by that is like booking this fest, particularly this year, it's like I have to be clear with all my friends that are artists. I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna pay you your full rate. Not because I don't think you're worth your full rate, it's just that this is a benefit show and I'm trying to make money for that. And I guarantee you, any artists that know me and like are part of this community won't have an issue with that. But if another promoter who wasn't from that was like, yo, I'm not gonna pay you your full rate, doesn't matter what it says after that. Do you know what I mean? It's irrelevant. They're just gonna be like, oh, you devalued my art by it, which is valid. You know, so it's a very sensitive like push and pull thing. You gotta make sure obviously you're respecting the fundamental needs, make sure they're met. If you're not meeting, so say if you're not paying a full rate, okay, why is that? If you don't have a good answer to that, you gotta pay the full rate. If you're not able to pay the full rate, and it doesn't necessarily have to be a benefit show, but you're like, I can guarantee that this will offer you other things down the road. Maybe we can get it professionally filmed or recorded and you can use it for something else. And I can guarantee there's gonna be a certain amount of A&R or press people there. You could do something like that. But I think it's the thing of like being hyper aware and keeping the needs of artists at the front of your brain when you're trying to promote, rather than, you know, completely profit driven, because I think that's quite short-sighted. You know, you'll burn every bridge you have and then end up broke anyway, so, you know.
And of course, relationships are like the most important thing. And I think London especially is known for being kind of a hub for the music industry. So I want to know, like, what's your diagnosis of London's music sector at the moment? What do you think it looks like, especially in like Walthamstow, East London? Like, how do you see the music industry shaping up right now?
You know what? It's crazy. It's tough because like recently, I've made a conscious decision to basically like try and disregard all label or industry noise. So I've tried to deliberately like ignore it. So this is probably gonna be a dog shit answer. But basically like, and the reason I was doing that, the reason I made that decision was kind of because like we were getting like from a microbrew perspective, like my music was getting a bunch of interest, and you know, you have all these conversations and it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna do this thing. You're dangling this carrot. It's like, yo, like that's the real kind of dream when you're a kid. And it's like, yo, finally you're gonna unlock that, and then boom, nothing. And then you're like, okay, cool. I mean, whatever, shit happens. It happens again. And then you kind of like, I found myself kind of shifting my thinking. I'm like, instead of just trying to make something that's important to my people at this level, I was thinking about all these man and trying to secure a bag up here. And I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, that is not what gets me out of bed. So I've deliberately like tried to kind of disregard and think about what those people are looking for and what they need, which kind of makes me a bit of a shit combo for stuff like this. But in regards to music being kind of around, I mean Walthamstow and Leighton, anyone who's from East or who's been East kind of knows how much has changed since I was a kid, to the point where culturally sometimes it can be quite uncomfortable for someone like me, because a lot of times they see me and they say, fucking big white man, why has he got an accent like that? It's how it actually happened to me today. It's kind of funny. So because people that live there now might not sound like me, and that's kind of a weird one. So there's kind of like a wave of new people that move to the area. A lot of them work in the creative industries, but there isn't a read across of people that are from the area working in those industries. You know what I mean? There's just a lot of displacement, which is obviously a shame. But with that said, I was at an event earlier today, a youth club, and that was like amazing, because there were loads of people across industries working at like all types of things, kind of offering young people pathways in. And that stuff is like, that's kind of what we all need more of in like every field, but obviously particularly music, which is not only hyper competitive, but like also, you know, there seems to be certain parts of society which have an easier ride in the industry. So yeah, I don't know to be honest. I think there's obviously the fact that, you know, post-Brexit, where so many businesses left the city, the fact that music has stayed as like a massive kind of generator for the economy shows that this is probably the best city for music in the world. Do you know what I mean? We have something outside of pure economic purposes that make it important. So, you know, you guys are all in the right place. I just don't necessarily have like the secret sauce to like get in front of those people, because right now I'm like, they will just need to leave me alone for a bit, you know what I mean?
No, I actually think that's a very refreshing take, and I'm interested to know maybe what the audience thinks. So that's actually the end of my questions for you,
okay.
But we do have some time for audience questions. So does anyone have a question for Ben? One over here. Do we have a mic?
Oh, cool. This is also like mad professional, by the way. I was expecting just to sit down on the sofa and just like do whatever. So all these wireless mics, I was like, wait, it's nice. Alright, cool. Who's
just over here, Felix?
Hey Ben, I just wanted to say thank you. You just inspired me, because my journey started at a youth club called Streetwise, and I've even found people here who have been Streetwise since Streetwise, and you've just incentivized me to really get the courage to go back, because I had a studio last year, and because of a few things, damp, dodgy landlord.
I've been there.
Yep, lost quite a bit of money, and now I'm here to really get some structure and understand how I can build in my home community. So what advice would you give to somebody who's trying to get back the courage to go into a CIC and do that kind of work? Because it's a lot of paperwork, and I wanted to ask, did you ever use anything like funding bids and that to start up?
Yeah, so you know what, honestly, if you asked me this 24 hours ago, I wouldn't have a clue. But the place I went to today, we can talk after, I'll link you up with them, but yeah, it's called Project Zero. So it is in Walthamstow, but I'm assuming they'll have their own network, because they were saying, so where are you from? South?
Crystal Palace, yeah.
See, I know, man, I can tell accent straight away, you see what I mean? But yeah, obviously I don't know like what kind of equivalents they got going on there, but I was like so happy to see this set up today, like earlier today. Like I went in and then they were like, oh yeah, we got a studio, you know, you could like make some music with some of the youths. I was like, yeah, of course. I go there, it's like 2 separate rooms, they got a nice mic, they got interface, monitors, all of that stuff. And what was really good is that a lot of the people who are kind of youth champions who are working with them lot also kind of made music, created there themselves, and you're again like creating in parallel. So for me, if I was a young person now, like I don't want anyone to come off the back of this conversation and be like, yeah, I wanna do what he does. I wanna spend 10 years doing that, because it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't have taken this long. And I've tried to make these resources and put these resources out there as a way to connect the dots way quicker. And I think if I was a young person now, I wouldn't have taken the journey I would have taken. I would be in Project Zero making music with all of them lot, and probably all my friends would have gone there, and I would have had the same network, but like built off that foundation. And I think there's more than, I'm almost certain there will be a similar project that would be great for you to get involved with in Crystal Palace, that will give you access to music making tools that you need. And obviously with the uni, I assume you get some as well.
Yeah, I think you're mistaken. I'm a bit older, so my journey started actually doing a studio in Crystal Palace, and it was very similar setup. So like you said, sometimes disasters, certain things happen, COVID, life. Yeah. And so I'm literally restarting again, not plan A,
So
B,
you want to open your own studio
I've
for
had
them
one
people?
Recently, yeah.
Oh, right, yeah.
And because of the issues, I had to close.
I've been there as well, man. I told you, I've had fires, I've had damp, I've had all of that stuff. So what's your ideal, what are you looking to do as your kind of ideal thing
So
for
a
you?
media centre in essence, because the youth club I went to gave me access to recording equipment and stuff like that, and a lot of people that went through there are artists and different things like that. So I've had experience in A&R and all kinds of different things, and supported the team in various ways. So I just wanted to make a hub, because recently that youth club got closed down just on its 30-year anniversary. So hurting a little bit. Yeah,
of course. Yeah, I mean, what I would say then, you're right about the funding bid thing. I did get an Arts Council grant to do Hoodstock last year, and that application is brutal. It's tough. It's crazy tough. But if you do get it, and then, you know, don't necessarily go for like a crazy amount of money first. Like we got like 18k. So it's a lot of money. It's a lot of money, but like it's not going to, you know, some people on like Core and M and stuff, it's like nuts. But if you're able to do something like that, I don't know for sure, but I'm assuming that kind of cosign, having an arts council stamp, makes you more attractive to other funders. Yeah. Youth Music is another one who's great. They're really good. And like that application form is way less crazy. Like the arts council one, it's not like, not only is it tough, it's also like just broken. Like it's just there's so many glitches and stuff. So yeah, I'd really recommend look at arts council, see what's available, look at Youth Music for funding, but do try and reach out to those other youth clubs and see if there is an overlap in what you're interested in doing and combining resources. Because I think that's the overriding thing. What I'm trying to say today is that, like, you know, there will be some resources available to you, and how can you make them work for yourself and other people? And I think that for you in the position you're in right now, with, you know, the network you have here, there's probably loads of people that would love to be involved in something like that. There might be some pre-existing structure that you could come in and kind of tweak more to your needs and what you have in mind.
I've already scoped it out, and I know that there's a lot of redundant equipment that's barely been touched, so yeah.
That's what I'm saying. You're already onto one, you know what I mean? No, that sounds promising.
Yeah, I can account for Youth Music because I'm one of their Next Gen Fund recipients. So if you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. Yeah.
Hi, yeah. Whoa, that's a bit loud.
It's loud, isn't it?
Yeah, sorry about that. I just wanted to kind of try and give you an idea. Sounds a bit far-fetched, but just work with me. You mentioned about funding.
Mm-hmm.
So when I joined the uni, I had to fork out with a loan, 30k or whatever, right? Is that what it's going to be? 3 years is 30k.
Yeah, for tuition, yeah.
But that's not really 30k, it's 60k because it's 10k for the uni, 10k for me.
Yeah.
So there's 60k debt.
Okay.
How about if you manage to get that festival with the funding that you're using to create like scholarships?
Well, this is a thing. Like, this is a model. I hear you. It's a good idea. I think
I want to put pressure on you,
yeah, I might drop a run out start on the application now. No, but something I have started to look at off the back of the Hoodstock Fund sessions is because there's some, like I said, like there's a big range of artists that use it. Sometimes they just want to play something. Sometimes they want to finish something off. A lot of the time, a lot of people that use it and they use it regularly, they ask to shadow me and stuff, and that's incredibly flattering, and I would love to, but I fundamentally don't think that's the way they can get the most out of it. I think what I put together and what I'm trying to get funding for in a moment is a much more comprehensive course based around their music, kind of split into 4 phases, so like songwriting, recording, releasing, and then playing, but like all focused around their music, tailored to them. And then kind of like at the end of each of those phases, they all meet each other and kind of do that horizontal networking stuff I'm talking about. So something like that. But yeah, you never know. If you see me, Professor Ben Spence in 10 years' time, just know I bought it. And it's my own bullshit uni, so yeah, don't worry about that. Also, I heard there's tax breaks in it.
Just quickly, last thing I wanted to say, still better than a master of one.
There you go. I'll take it. There you go. Come on.
So you said you're a producer, right?
Yes,
you want to do it, and it's free, yeah? So how, if the artist money or you need the money to run a studio, how do you get the money and how do you promote them?
Not all the sessions are free. So there's the Hoodstock Fund sessions. So this year, because the money we were able to make, there's £600 of them sessions available for free. And also I've got a control room and a live room upstairs. And recently I've got a control room and a live room downstairs. So it's not just me working there. I've got like my boy Dylan, who I've trained up to be an engineer. So he's basically going to be more of the in-house engineer now. And then I could be making money on a session that he's running upstairs. So they'll pay like a dry hire fee where I don't have to work there and they just, pay me. And then I could be working on a session for free downstairs. But then also, obviously that money, that £600 worth of sessions, obviously that's subsidized down in cost, but that's still £600 going into my business. Do you see what I mean? So there's not complete loss. Because that's also part of the reason I did it, because for a long time, I was just like, people couldn't afford it, but obviously they're great musicians in it, so I'll be like, don't worry about it. And people were very complimentary to me about doing it, and I was like, yeah, cool. But if you man like it so fucking much, why don't you like chip in a bit? So I kind of came up with a model where they can do that.
Do you ever get funding from charities, like to make yourself in a charity run the business with your music?
So Hoodstock is now set up as a CIC. a separate business. But for the last, when we first set it up, because it wasn't as big, it was just me, self-employed, you know, as Fuzzbrain Studio. So technically, obviously, a CIC isn't fully a charity, but there are like certain benefits with that, and it makes you easier to get funding. So it's not completely a charity, but I've definitely tried to angle it in a way where it's more open to receiving, like, obviously funding bodies' money and like people's donations and stuff like that. Because yeah, believe me, it got complex, like having to run it through my books and then into a separate account, it just gets nuts. So now it's a completely separate thing as of like 6 months ago. So yeah, it's quite a recent thing.
No, thank you.
No worries, thanks.
You've got a question at the back?
Yes, my bro, how are you? Good?
All good, bro.
Yeah, man. Yes, it's very interesting what you've been saying, actually, because I came in not really knowing like what was going on. I just saw it and got the ticket. But an idea that I've got is very similar to yours. However, like, how would I get there with, like, without the funding and without the capital? Maybe the funding comes later, but without the capital to start off. Okay. I've got the idea, just fresh out of uni, so no bread.
Yeah, come on.
Yeah, I've got the vision, I've got the plan, and I've got like the network of people.
Is it top secret idea, or can you like give me the 10-15 second pitch of what it is?
It's mad. I could talk to you after the fact. But
okay, yeah. Because without that, I don't want to be like send you on some wild goose chase. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's basically in terms of like a studio, but not just like a media.
Right.
So
like a media hub type thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it does the music and it does like the film and controlled lighting rooms and all that.
Cold. Yeah. I think with something like that requires that much infrastructure.
Yeah.
The best way, I know it's probably not what you have in mind, but is trying to find out someone that's doing a bit of what you do and find out that overlap is really important.
Yeah.
And you come in and be like, listen, like what you do is great, but like I'm thinking of doing something like this, and this. Is there potential for us to pool our resources? I'm sure you have like a network of people, or like, I think the key really in a position you're in a position everyone from my world is in, is basically trying to get those people to turn the corner on what is wealth and what is investment.
Yeah.
So like, you know, a lot of us aren't wealthy financially, but we have this mad wealth of experience, right?
Yeah.
And those experiences fuel this thing that makes us want to create music and create other things. You're also probably wealthy in, I'm making assumptions in it, but like a network of people. You're obviously wealthy in ideas.
Yeah.
And how do you get them to understand the value of that and then implement what you want into their model? And then you grow that together, and then before you know it, you become an essential part of this thing.
Yeah.
And you're in basically a powerful position to do what you want to do.
Okay.
So that's probably what I'd recommend, is like finding that overlap.
Yeah. So it's just find kind of companies that do similar things.
Yeah.
So
all types of scale.
Did you get funding from like the borough council and all that? Or?
No, but I'm trying to right now. You know.
Yeah, because I was thinking to do the same, but I don't think my borough is like investing in.
What borough?
Croydon. So I don't know if they're investing in.
Can't lie, so it's a long day for Croydon, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, that's why I feel like they need something like this, because it's a whole right
now. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. Yeah, but like I think, to be honest though, you could always just try to go to another borough and say, listen, I'm from Croydon.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
But like, I'm trying to do this thing and
sorry.
No, basically the one I was applying for, they were just like, yo, are you doing, because this is the thing with Walthamstow now, it's so gentrified that they know a lot of people might not be from there, but like, are you going to run the program in there?
Okay.
So you could just be like, yo, you go to like, I don't know, Lewisham Council or something, or like whoever, maybe they have something, you ain't got to commute crazy, that might make sense.
Okay,
But just honestly, like there's PRS website has a bunch of funding stuff. Obviously, the borough ones are different. You will have to go borough to borough and figure it out. The Wolf and Forest one is called, I think it's called like the Make It Happen grant. So that's up to, I think, 15K. I feel like I'm working for them now, you know what I mean? But that's like, obviously 15K, you could do a lot with that. Prince's Trust, is that the one you say? There you go, Prince's Trust. I don't know, to be honest. But yeah, PRS website, check all the boroughs. They all have different grants. Like, I think, obviously, Arts Council is the big one, but like I said, that's tough. Youth Music have one, was it one called Trailblazer or something?
They do a Trailblazer fund.
Which is, what's that one when you have like an idea and you want to try out? I think that's good. And
there's Incubator as well, I think. Incubator, Trailblazer, and Next Gen.
There you go. So so I think honestly, hit as many as you can as possible. And I think the key is like they have a lot of these grant kind of bodies and funding bodies have like drop-ins and like kind of stuff like this, I guess.
Yeah.
Go to them. because you'll be able to chat to someone. And like what I find is like on any level of any kind of industry stuff, like if you can plant the seed of like, they'll be like, oh, that's the guy that wanted to open that media hub that I spoke to, and they're gonna take the time to go over it. Whereas if they just see, oh, media hub, right? Do you know what I mean? It just, you're planting that seed.
Yeah.
So stuff like that makes a difference.
Is it worth going there with just that idea, or should I start something off first on my own back? Obviously, it's always good to start something, but you know,
I think it's always good to have something ready.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like you never know. Like someone might overhear what you're saying today and be like, yo, I actually think like that's cold.
Yeah.
Like the more, and also like I totally like understand why people like to keep some of their ideas on the low, but I always think back yourself to be able to execute your idea in a way that only you could execute. So don't even worry about other people finding out. Because even if you told me your idea and I try and do it, I'll fuck it up, bro.
Yeah, you won't
fuck it up.
Like everyone's vision is different.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, and I'll execute in a way that's like, you know, very like maybe East London centric, but I ain't got nothing to do with Croydon. It won't be the same, and that's your thing. So I think like, lead with as much kind of information as possible, because people always like to think like, understand that because I'm sure you've thought about all the potential obstacles and how to overcome them, and if you can just fire them answers off like that, they can be like, oh, all right, cool, safe investment for them, you know.
We saying don't gatekeep.
Genuinely, bro. Just lead with it, because also, man, you just got to back yourself in. Like, my shit's better, so it's fine.
I hear it, bro. All right, cool.
Good luck, bro.
Thank you.
And on that note, we actually are out of time for questions, but feel free to ask Ben afterwards. But
harass me a bit, it's fine.
Thank you first for joining us. I'm sure everyone is like taking a lot of insight, so thank you so much.
Thank you guys for having me. You're very sweet. Thank you.
And come back next week to see Matthew Knowles in conversation. See you soon.